Okay, I think we can start. I see everyone, at least a large number of you are here already. It's my pleasure to introduce our new Director General. He's less than 1 month old, and he will introduce you.
Okay, so thanks a lot, Andy. So I'm really happy to be here to welcome you. Also on behalf of the ILL, as we are co-organizing the conference with them. And Andy just told me that this is the second time that No Bugs is organized here on campus. Maybe before starting, so I understood it is a very formal conference, and so speakers are kindly requested to come here to the front row and sit down here. This being said, this is really, the topics you are discussing are really extremely important for the ESRF. And this is, increasingly the case as we are, implementing, everything to use the extremely brilliant source, the EBS, which of course, allows us to produce more data. And so, streamlining, data flows, collection, analysis is extremely important. I hope many of you this morning attended the Bliss eWorks workshop. This is our last development in this area. And well, I think it's really, something which can help. Also because, we have, increasingly diverse user communities. And so, data workflows are extremely important. And of course, all this now, requires dedicated tools, a lot of cybersecurity as well, which is again something that we take very seriously here. AI, ML, that's also something which is something where we have a lot of developments as in your institute. And we had last week a joint meeting of our experiments division and our instrumentation division. And all the topics you are discussing now were, really, central for the discussions we had last week, from detectors, from beamline control, optics, data analysis, workflows. That's really something which we need to develop. And I think it's very important that we can develop those tools together, because the effort is absolutely huge. And there are many things we can initiate or start, but we need, living communities behind us, developers. Different user perspectives should also be, taken into account. And so that's why we really need to collaborate together. Regarding the workshop itself, so Andy told me that you are almost 200 people registered. What I found extremely impressive is the number of workshops. If I counted well, there are 16 of them, which is really impressive. Well, I will try to attend some of the talks in between two meetings, including for the workshops. And I hope you will enjoy the discussions, enjoy, the site and the conference.
Okay, I'll continue from Jean. Thanks a lot for a brand new director and coming to this brand new meeting. I have a few housekeeping rules information you will, I'm sure, appreciate if you don't have it already. So just, food in France is very important. So lunch is served in the canteen. We ask you to go to the bottom section at around 1 p.m. or between 1 p.m. and 1:30 p.m. So, because we're 200 people, we want to avoid creating a traffic jam before 12:30. So you will be, and once you've taken your food, you can go down, you can go upstairs. So there's an area reserved for you. I don't know, some of you already discovered that, but just continue with that system, yeah? And use your badge, just show your badge when you get your food. This evening is a poster session. So we have a posters and wine and cheese. You can choose which one you're going to appreciate the most, but we have a lot of posters this time. I think it's almost a record, 81 posters. And I think a lot of them are up. I don't know, if you haven't put yours up, please put it up before 6 p.m. this evening, so during the coffee break. Oh, this is actually the wrong one. This was a lunch, yeah, I did the wrong one. Coffee breaks will be served in the morning, so when you come, and after, and during the coffee breaks, of course, and after lunch. So don't take, once you finished your lunch and you want a coffee or tea, just come over here. They'll be served in the central session. We expect all talks to be uploaded. So I've explained to all the speakers, we have to use this PC so that we can stream it. We have professionals at the back who are filming this and who are streaming this. So we can't use your own laptop. If you have a real issue with that, come and see me. We'll find a solution, yeah. Then, yes, the auditorium is full. There's still seats up front here. You can come and join the seats here, but we're trying to keep this first row over here, half the first row for the speakers. So if you're a speaker, you can come here already. What? I don't know why they're not showing. My slides are not being shown. Let's see. There was something there. Okay. So, and we have plugs on the side here. So if you need to charge your phone or your laptop, please just put it over here. And that's also working, yeah. So the gala dinner, you have the address. It's also on the posters outside, and you can start arriving from 7:30. Let's see. Okay. Anyone who's signed up for a visit of the ESRF, so we have organized visits with our comms group during the coffee breaks today, tomorrow, and Thursday. If you signed up, you should know. If you've forgotten to know which day you signed up for, go and see Kimberly or Sarah, because they will tell you where to go, which day you signed up for. And at the start of the afternoon coffee break, go up to the poster area and between the long corridor and the main poster area. So there, people will be waiting for you, and they won't wait for very long. So you've got 5 minutes to get there, and then they'll go on the tour. So that's just housekeeping. Don't forget to wear your conference badge. Don't do like I did, where I had to actually create my own conference badge because I left mine at home yesterday. But yeah, you should have your conference badge at all time. And if you have any questions, ask Sarah. I just thought one last note is, we have a very tight program, very dense, and only 15 minutes for each speaker, except for the keynote speakers. So if you need, we probably won't have time for the questions or many questions. Don't forget to contact people. We've asked people to provide their email on Indico, so you're free not to do it, but we encourage you to do it. And if you think of it, I thought this, the 50 minutes is basically the length of a TED Talk. And those of you who follow TED Talks, there's some very inspiring talks. So I thought this little quote over here would inspire you to use those 15 minutes to the best of your abilities, yeah? And don't be scared to hang yourself out there so that the conversation gets started afterwards, yeah? Yes, and then, of course, huge thank you to the organizing team who are in the back there, who have done... who answered many, many mails and got everything going. And yes, enjoy the conference and Grenoble. And also ESRF. We're very proud, and we're also very happy to have you here. So now, now I'd like to also, something which is a bit of history we're going to start off with, is that this conference series was actually started. I don't know if you know, if any of you know the history, and how many of you were at the first conference? So we have some historical people, yeah, they can confirm that. And one of the things that happened at this first conference was actually, let's see, can I get this in? I wanted to view, how do I thought Control L will work. Yes. So, and there were two, actually, I found out just, fortunately, just before the start of this session, is the three people organized the first conference. There were two people from ILL, Helge Schwab and Don Curley. And the third person was Bill Pulford, who was from ESRF. And Bill passed away last month. And so we thought we'd do a small tribute to him, just to show you what he achieved during his career and that we don't forget the people who created this community. So I'd like to call on Steve to give us the first part of this talk.
Thanks, Andy. Are these going to just like this? Okay. Okay, thank you. So it's, I mean, it's a sad duty, but also really a privilege to be able to say just a few words about our friend and colleague, Bill Pulford, who did, as Andy said, died a few weeks ago, and I guess this is largely for the benefit of the obscenely young people in the audience, because I think most of you are very familiar with Bill's work and Bill's legacy. So just to give you a bit of history, in fact, starting before this, I think Bill started life as a scientist, so he has a PhD in the life sciences, I think protein crystallography from Oxford. So he started as a scientist before kind of, turning to the dark side, as it were, and he did that in spring of 1982 when Bill joined the ICIS neutron and muon source at Rutherford Appleton Laboratory. And as the working on data acquisition in the data acquisition group, well, Bill played a major part in designing and coding the interfaces between the ICIS data acquisition electronics and the front-end mini computers, for those of you who remember mini computers. Computer networks basically didn't really exist. They were still under development, and Bill set to work building an ICIS Cambridge ring network from scratch, and he wrote the software himself to do that. And not surprisingly, he went on to become the computing group leader, which he did in 1988. And he did a whole load of different things there at ICIS, including developing sample environment controls, the software for sample environments based on CAMAC units. I think that predates even the mini computers, but this is a very important technology at the time. And he did a lot of work developing databases to help manage the data and the administration of physics. So it's really the first attempts to tie these things together. And with all these skills, not surprisingly, he was shamelessly poached by the ESRF. And Andy, I think, is going to say a few words about that.
Yeah. So Bill came to the ESRF in 1991. Yeah, and he created this group called the Experiments Programming Group, and he was someone who was never scared of trying new things. So I don't know for the younger generation, or if you can imagine, in 1996, when the first NOBUGS was held, there was no World Wide Web yet. There was no, in 1991, we were probably just starting to send emails. And Bill was like one of the guys who was always there to try out these new things. So he left us also with a team. So you see some of the team, you probably won't recognize them in the corridors anymore, but they were there in the beginning, and most of them stayed after he left. He then went on to Diamond. And he left us a bit of legacy as well, which we kept for a long time. What's called the ESRF data format, FIT2D. He was actually the co-programmer of the first user office system. So his interest spanned over a large variety of things. And he set up the first website, had we had, yeah. And he wasn't only into work. He was a very chatty person. You could spend hours talking to Bill. I actually played cricket with him in the ILR cricket team. We used to go. I don't know if it exists though, but I think life now in Grenoble has become so international that these things where the English were trying to keep traditions alive have actually sort of become passé now. But we'd play against CERN and against teams in Switzerland and elsewhere. And he was a big favorite of whiskey. So he was a member of the Whiskey Appreciation Society, which will come up later on and actually played a role inside the way No Bugs was created.
Thanks, Andy. So Bill loved life in Grenoble, but somehow we managed to get him back to the UK. And he came to join Diamond Light Source when it was a very new organization. We didn't write the year down. I think it's somewhere around 2002. It's very early on anyway, right at the beginning. So Bill again took on the role of building a team of software professionals to deliver data acquisition and analysis to a large number of beamlines. He worked extensively on the GDA data acquisition system, which originated from Daresbury, but was ported to Diamond. And Bill led the development at Diamond of this software, which was a very large Java application with a Jython command line interpreter for scripting capabilities. It provided scanning, reciprocal space mapping, visualization and GUIs and all the things that you would like. And it was a very nice example of something which kind of combined the kind of GUI graphical way of collecting data with the need of, let's say, mostly physicists to write Python code to collect the data. So broadly, everybody was very happy with this solution. He brought single sign-on to Diamond's software applications across science and business services through CAS, which we still use today. He developed the user admin system, UAS, which changed at least once because of the very wide range and complex array of data access mechanisms that have emerged. He developed a series of database applications, and then finally, 2017, Bill retired from Diamond, offering his services as a consultant. But he actually spent most of his time here, I think, after that point. Can I? Yeah. Okay, cool, thanks. So Bill, I mean, leading the way on these three very, very large facilities obviously meant that Bill had a huge impact on the international scene, and he worked on many European Union grants covering a number of European Commission frameworks, and this included grid computing, authentication, data management, as part of Pandata. There was Moonshot, Calypso, Umbrella, various other initiatives. But as Andy said, he also co-instigated the No Bugs conference and supported it over the years. And so the first one, as Andy said, was here, jointly organized by the SRF and the ILL. And now we are back. Yeah. So I think Andy's going to say a few more words, but just to summarize this part. So Bill played a major role in the launch of three very, very large scientific facilities. He led international software and computing activities, and this was really an amazing achievement, an amazing career, and he will be sadly missed by his family, friends, and colleagues. And I have to say, for me, as a scientist at Diamond who worked with Bill, I remember him most as a very kind and funny man. And I say funny in its loosest sense because anybody who knew him would know that his jokes were absolutely the worst. Andy.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And I think, yeah, we could say, actually, I thought, you know, Don Curley is the guy next to Bill there. And I contacted Don, who's still around. He's in Australia, and I asked him a bit about the history of no bugs. So Don came up with a very, I thought, worth reading email. In the early years of the ESRF collaboration between ESRF and ILL was encouraged, but always failed miserably because the institutes and their staffs were simply from different generations. Joint projects received less money than separate institute projects. No bugs bucked the trend, and it was amusing that it was lubricated by our connection in the Whiskey Appreciation Society. WASOC was the name of the society, which both the ILL and ESRF Comité d'Entreprise refused to support. It was a pleasure to organize a workshop with Bill, punctuated by his famous crappy jokes and a background of ABBA. So he was obviously a fan of ABBA. I wonder if the name No Bugs is partly responsible for the workshop's long-term success. The name was very much a joint effort. We came up with better user group software quite quickly, but bugs did not convey the right message. Then came new opportunities, and so No Bugs was born. The time, 1995, was particularly good for launching this idea. Legacy command line software was being replaced with wacky GUIs, and users were becoming increasingly computer illiterate. It looks like things haven't changed, actually. We're expecting much more than clunky instrument control and elementary instrumental data correction. The internet was starting to provide remote solutions, and laptops were becoming ubiquitous. You see how fast time goes, yeah? It was indeed a time to break down the barriers with new opportunities for better user group software. It's nice that Bill has this as part of his legacy. So yes, well, thank you for that. And we also, I've been in contact with Bill's wife, Janet, and we're proposing a prize for the least buggy, most impactful software from the community. So it's open, yeah. And thank you for listening. So a little bit ahead of time. You know, one thing I think is important, I heard this once in a meeting from someone from Stanford. He said, if a community cannot honor its members, then the community doesn't exist. So I think what we need to do, this is something important, to show that this is a real community. We have to honor each other and see what others are doing. So I'm very glad we did that.